Welcome back to another Midnight Chimes In, where this time we're going to be discussing the Doctor Who Christmas special, The Church on Ruby Road, which sees Ncuti Gatwa effectively making his debut as the 15th Doctor, or really the 14th Doctor, or maybe the 16th Doctor, or something else depending on how we're counting. The numbering system at this point is a mess, but 15 is what the creative team are going with, so I guess that's how I'll refer to him. Gatwa did of course already make an appearance towards the end of The Giggle, but as I said in my reaction to that episode, he wasn't really the focus because David Tennant was still centre stage. This time, however, Gatwa very much is the focus, and we get much more of a sense of who he is as the Doctor, and I think I like it, for the most part at least. We get what I would describe as a raunchier, more confident and liberated kind of Doctor, and some of it works for me, some of it not so much. Something about the scene where Gatwa is dancing in the nightclub rubs me slightly the wrong way, and I've been trying to figure out why. What I think it is, and I'm aware this might be a very personal and subjective angle of critique, is that to me the Doctor is very much coded as a neurodiverse character, and as an autistic person I view them as kind of a role model for that reason. In fact, an analogy that I've often used to describe my experience of being autistic is that I sometimes feel like I'm from another planet, and the way humans interact and socialise, I just don't really get it. So if I was in somewhere like a nightclub, I would feel really out of place, and to me the Doctor looks a little too comfortable in that scene. He blends in too well. You know, the kind of Doctor that appeals to me is represented more by Matt Smith in The Wedding Party, I believe it's in The Big Bang, where he sticks out like a sore thumb, but it's fine because he's totally owning it. And that's great because that's how I feel in those situations. Again, I'm aware this might well be just a personal thing, and to be clear, I'm also not saying no neurodiverse person can be comfortable in that environment, but I just no longer felt a connection to the character in that moment. And it probably makes it worse seeing Ruby's reaction to the Doctor dancing as well, and the way she appears to be drawn to that and find that attractive. That just hit a sore spot for me, I think, as someone who's felt like an outcast for much of my life. I did enjoy the reference to A Long Hot Summer with Houdini. That line was a nice way of taking something that is already an established trait of the Doctor, that being his tendency to name-drop famous historical figures, but putting a spin on it which gives a flavour of how this incarnation is unique from the rest, and how this era is going to differ in tone. It's also refreshing to have a Doctor who appears to be just enjoying being the Doctor without the need for any contrived angst or emotional baggage. You know, there's no "am I a good man, Clara" nonsense this time around, and it's all the better for it. I believe the point of the ending to The Giggle was to signify that we're going to be essentially resetting and leaving all of that stuff behind now, and I'm hoping that is going to be the case going forward. As well as the Doctor, we were introduced to his new companion Ruby Sunday, who didn't make such a strong impression, at least not at this stage. We know that she was adopted, and there's the whole mystery box thing of who her parents are and where she comes from. We also know that she plays in a band, and we see her in a nightclub with her friends, but other than that, I didn't really get a clearly defined idea of who she is as a character. And that's not the fault of Millie Gibson, it's more that she's just underwritten. That may well change as the series goes on, but for this episode it was a shame, because the plot involving the goblins is all relatively low stakes, which is fine, but in order for that to work, you really need to be properly invested in these characters and the relationships between them, and for me, the whole thing ended up feeling kind of hollow, especially at the end with the fake tears and then going back in time to save Ruby as a baby. The goblins themselves were quite interesting, and the whole idea of the science of coincidence and how that gives them power. I'm surprised that I've not yet seen anyone draw a comparison with the improbability drive from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, as that's quite a similar concept in some ways. There's also the random musical number, which honestly I don't know whether I like it or not, but it's different, and it is at least memorable, which is more than can be said for a lot of the Chibnall era. I've seen some complaints about the fact we're doing the mystery box format again with Ruby's parents and Mrs. Flood, but that didn't really bother me too much because the episode didn't really draw attention to the mysteries in an obnoxious, look how clever this is sort of way, like what's tended to happen in the past, particularly with the Stephen Moffat era. It's much more subtle than, say, the way River Song was handled. As a general rule, with a mystery box, if you draw too much attention to it, then the payoff is nearly always going to be an anticlimax, whereas this is being presented less as the central hook of the show and more just a slow burn, as Russell T Davies himself puts it. It's a setup for an ongoing plot thread that's going to be developed further down the line. So that's about everything I have to cover at the moment regarding the Church Church on Ruby Road. In summary, it's an okay episode, but probably not one I'll be revisiting in a hurry. But do let me know what you thought of the special and Ncuti Gatwa as the Doctor. It would be great to get a discussion going. This is Midnight Chimes, still waiting for the last train home.